Today on the show, I'm going to share with you why the only beer I drink is non-alcoholic and why you should too. Now, it all began when I started taking ultra running seriously. I decided 3 to 4 months before any race that I did, I was going to cut alcohol out of my diet, which this is extremely good advice for all the athletes out there. And this is extremely good advice if you are an athlete like me. Alcohol is a poison. It is a toxin to our system. The second alcohol enters your bloodstream, your body wants to get rid of it. It starts taking energy away from other systems and focuses on expelling it from your body. So I thought to myself, if this is how it works, then I want my body to focus on healing my muscles as I put my body under strain of 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 miles per week. Because if I run 100 miles in a week and then I drink a regular beer, my body isn't going to recover like it needs to. I'm not going to be as good as I could be. This ballooned into me taking a year off from drinking because I had multiple races back to back, and then I won my 100K Ultra about 4 to 5 months into this experiment. But it didn't stop there. I had another race that made this so that I abstained from alcohol for another 2 months. So I ended up not drinking for 14 months. Since breaking my 14-month fast from drinking, it's been 2 months of sobriety for me. And a big part of this is because NA beer tastes better than beer with alcohol. And I have 5 reasons why you should be drinking NA beer instead of beer with alcohol in your life starting today. The first one is caloric content. I love IPAs. And if you also like IPAs, you understand IPAs have a lot of calories. They also have a lot of flavor. And you're probably like Johnny, there's no way that a non-alcoholic beer, a non-alcoholic IPA tastes anything like a regular IPA. Well, I'm here to tell you that it has more flavor than a regular IPA. So I would even argue that typically hazy IPAs have the most calories of any beer. The point is, we have a hazy IPA here, and it is an NA hazy IPA. If we compare NA to full alcohol, normal beer, whatever you want to call it, then we're looking at, from a caloric perspective alone, 70 calories, opposed to 200 to 300 calories for 12 ounces. This is amazing. At worst, NA beer has 3 times as few calories as beer with alcohol in it. At best, it has almost 5 times. That means just from a caloric perspective, maybe you're trying to lose weight and you're struggling because you may not even be drinking very much, but you're having one IPA every couple of days. By the way, even having one beer once a week is a detriment to your productivity, your motivation, and you becoming the best person you possibly could be. You could be watching this and being like, Johnny, I only drink once a week. I don't care. If you drink once a month, you're going to get a good 3 weeks a month out of your productivity, depending on how much you're drinking once a month. This alone should convince you that if it tastes the same, if not better, it tastes better, by the way. Here, let's see. Oh, by the way, I can drink this. It's 2 p.m. on a Monday during the workday. It tastes better than a regular IPA because I'm not hit with the taste of cough syrup. Once you take time off from drinking, you'll understand what I mean. And that brings me to the second benefit of NA beer over regular beer, the alcohol content. Now, Johnny, I already know NA beer doesn't have any alcohol. This is obvious. Well, here's a crazy thing. Let's look at the hazy IPA again. And let's look at the NA versus the alcohol version when it comes to alcohol content. NA has less than 0.5%. And a typical IPA has somewhere between 6 and 8%. And typically when people are talking about drinking and, hey, it's okay to moderately drink and you can, having one beer a week isn't a big deal. Even with 6 to 8% alcohol content, When I tried a hazy IPA after not drinking for 14 months, it tasted like cough syrup. No wonder when you had your first drink, when I had my first drink, we didn't like alcohol. It tastes bad. NA beer has the best parts of beer, the taste, the flavor. I can actually taste what IPA tastes like. Now, this is crazy. When you look at this, in order to have the same alcohol content as one hazy IPA, how many athletic NA beers do you have to drink? Athletic says near beer contains less than 0.5% alcohol by volume. So let's say it's on the high end 0.5% alcohol content in the hazy IPA. Well, let's do some math. Let's take 6%. Let's divide it by 0.5. What does this equal? This equals 12. Now let's take 0.5 divided into 8%. What does this equal? 16? 16! 16. 12. So if there was actually 0.5% of alcohol in this beer, to have the same amount of alcohol as a normal hazy IPA, you would have to drink minimum 12, maybe 16, maybe way more, because maybe there's 0.1% alcohol. I don't even want to do the math for that. Be 60 beers. You will get bloated before you get buzzed when drinking NA beer. You will be so hydrated that even if you had this many beers, you're going to be getting rid of the alcohol so quickly that you aren't even going to be able to get buzzed. This is crazy. This is why I love NA beer. Benefit number 3, you avoid the negative effects of alcohol. Even one beer. And I know you're still thinking, Johnny, I can have one beer and I'm fine. I took 14 months off, drank a beer, and I had brain fog for days. I also lacked motivation for days. You don't know what the effect on you until you cut it out. One beer, it's 3 to 5 times more calories, causes cravings. Alcohol metabolizes into sugar, which leads to blood sugar spikes and drops. Spike feels good, drop feels depressing. Mood, sleep, even a little bit of alcohol messes with your sleep. This may be the biggest thing. When you are drinking one beer per week, you are messing up your sleep for at least one night per week. That's 52 nights a year. That compounds over time. And that's just if you're having one per week. I didn't have a hangover with one beer, unless you count brain fog, motivation, productivity, and mood as a hangover. If you define hangover as headache, then for me it takes about 2 or 3 beers. But you avoid all this by drinking a beer. Number 4, always be at your best. This always used to stress me out. Can we be real? I used to get stressed out when I planned on drinking. So I always planned it. I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that I don't have to drive anywhere. I'm gonna make sure that I don't have anything important going on that needs my attention, because I know that once I start drinking, I'm not gonna be able to show up at my best. Isn't it crazy? You have to plan that. I don't know if you've ever done that. Where you're like, okay, I'm gonna go out with the guys, got it all in order, got the babysitter, everything done. I don't have to make any decisions, don't have to talk to anyone. I don't have to do anything important. So I can go drink, I have some glasses of wine, I have some beer, whatever. This used to stress me out. Now, I can always be at my best. This past Friday, I went to a Halloween party. I teach yoga at this amazing gym called Endorphin. They had a Halloween party. I brought 5 NA beers with me. I only drank 3 of them, but I brought them with me because I knew there was gonna be beer around, I knew there was gonna be alcohol around, and it's pretty far from my house, and I don't drink anymore, so I was like, well, I'm gonna bring NA beer with me, I'm gonna share it with some people if they want it, and I did. I shared it with some people, and they were very happy. My friend Brett was very happy. He's like, is it NA beer? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, thank you for bringing this. I was at my best the entire time. I was able to drive without worry after, and I slept great. Everything ended up great, and I was available. If my fiance needed me, my parents needed me, my friends needed me, I'm fully present. When you replace alcohol with something else, you are able to show up at your best all the time. Now, I know I'm drinking this while recording to make a point. I don't necessarily think you should drink any beer during the day. But the point is, if you did, you're still going to be able to work. I chose to stop drinking because I wanted to be the best athlete I possibly could be. And I knew scientifically that this was a thing. I didn't know in practice until I did it. And that's why I'm sharing this. Not drinking is a cheat code in life. Not partaking in substances in general is a cheat code in your life. I know that a lot of people nowadays are like, well, I don't drink, but I smoke weed. You can get the benefits of weed by taking CBD with 0 THC. You may be like, well, I smoke weed, I don't drink. Maybe you were prescribed marijuana by a healthcare professional. The benefits from marijuana come from the CBD part. You can just intake the CBD. Be careful though, there's a lot of CBD where there's still a lot of THC in it. You want the purest CBD, and that's where you get the health benefits. It's crazy. So if you want to be at your best, cut substances out, replacements that are healthy. NA beer is a step in the right direction. If you are an alcoholic, having NA beverages like NA beer may not be a good idea for you. So I am not recommending that alcoholics should drink NA beer. I've even been told alcoholics shouldn't drink kombucha because there's a little bit of alcohol and it can trigger something. So if you're an alcoholic, I'm not saying you should drink NA beer. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't know how that works. You got to check with your healthcare professional. NA beer is a great replacement for someone who's not an alcoholic looking to get away from alcohol and live a healthier life. If you're an alcoholic, I highly recommend that you talk to a professional about that. And that brings me to number 5. This is very interesting and may be important to you. Early in my NA journey of taking a year plus off from drinking, this was important to me. And maybe this is what's going to help you. Maybe you are going to be served by this benefit. The placebo effect. Now, I have felt this. I'm not an expert, so I'm going to read the research I have done. The placebo effect is, when you start drinking NA beer, you may still feel the effects as if drinking a regular beer. I definitely did when I started drinking NA beer. And I sometimes do to this day feel the placebo effect. As you abstain from alcohol longer, the placebo effect will decrease. Placebo effect is you may feel loopy. How you feel when you drink alcohol, when you drink NA beer. Research says, even though non-alcoholic beer contains less than to no alcohol, many people feel some of the same sensations they associate with drinking alcohol. Relaxation, warmth, mild euphoria, lowered inhibitions, simply because you expect to. Your brain expects when it smells the beer, it's getting a specific effect. This is crazy how our brains work. That expectation creates a placebo response. Here's the neuroscience behind it. There is a conditioned response. Here's how it works. If you've ever used beer to unwind, your brain has linked the taste. So there's a link to the taste, the smell, and the ritual of having the beer with relaxation. When you drink a non-alcoholic version, those sensory cues can trigger dopamine and endorphin release, even without alcohol. You have a conditioned response to when your body ingests this. Something has happened for years, and now you're ingesting NA, and even though there's no alcohol in it or low alcohol in it, a conditioned response occurs. Next, expectation theory. Here's how this works. Studies show that when people believe they are consuming alcohol, their body and brain often reacts as if they actually are. You're expecting. A 2018 study in Psychopharmacology found participants who thought they drank alcohol but didn't reported feeling tipsy and relaxed, and showed changes in reaction time and self-control tasks. This is why this is important. The placebo effect, you may look at it as a benefit, but in the moment, maybe if you're under the placebo, you may not be at your best. You are, but neurologically, you may have a response that might be causing you to not be at your best. Next, the placebo effect also happens socially. Holding a beer, even an NA, cues your environment and brain that it's relax time. That triggers parasympathetic nervous system activity, reducing stress hormones like cortisol. This is a good thing. You're getting the benefit of social signaling without the negatives of the hangover the next day, the negatives that alcohol causes in your body. This is crazy. The placebo effect. You know if it affects you when you start drinking an NA beverage. One of my friends, what he's done to cut back on his drinking is he'll actually alternate. He'll have a regular beer followed by an NA beer. Regular NA, regular NA. And he'll do that during a poker night. I stick to NA the whole night. But hey, I like the fact that he's halving his alcohol consumption. That is a strategy that you could do as well to really start shifting towards NA. Here's the flip side and why I really wanted to share with you the placebo effect today. You may have a false permission loop. What is this? Some people with alcohol dependency history may find that NA beer triggers cravings because of its sensory and psychological similarity. If you are an alcoholic or someone dependent on alcohol, drinking NA beer may not be the best move for you because your body may respond as if you're drinking regular beer. It may cause you to start craving regular beer, craving alcohol. So the false permission loop is something to be extremely careful with. And this is why it is important to know yourself and work with a healthcare professional if you really do have an alcohol problem, if you have an alcohol dependency. The second thing is expectation fade. Over time, if you know it's NA beer, the placebo effect can weaken. Your brain learns there's no ethanol reward attached, so you may feel less of the fake buzz. I don't see any problem with this. It's been a while since I've drank beer consistently, and I'm about halfway through this NA beer, and I am feeling a little bit of a placebo. It's less than when I first started drinking NA beer, but I don't care. You get to the point where you don't care. You're not looking for that placebo effect. Now, if you want to take your health to the next level, I have my 3 pillars of healthy living guide: movement, tracking, and accountability. You can grab this guide linked in the description below if you're watching on YouTube or in the show notes, or go to www.athletewithasthma.com/healthy-living-guide to grab your free copy. It's going to take you a matter of minutes to read and start integrating into your life. I'll see you in the next episode.